Right now at 9, the Joplin Public Library is celebrating 120 years of serving the community and 5 years at the 20th Street location. We'll take you to the party. Plus, the Southeast Kansas Humane Society holds a microchip clinic for our furry friends, and
the Senate announcing a new bipartisan deal on gun reform. I'm Lucas Tomlinson at the White House. I'll have the details coming up.
You're watching the KOAM News at 9, and it starts right now. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Chris Warner. After some of us saw some late-night storms, everyone is seeing hot temperatures. We begin tonight with meteorologist Nick Kelly on what's still ahead.
Well, bottom line, Chris, without spoiling too much of the forecast, more of the same. That's what we're going to have to deal with. But at least we were treated to a nice-looking sunset not too long ago from 7th and Rangeline. But we just flat out struggled to cool off last night. We only dropped back to 78 at Joplin Regional. Most of us upper 70s to near 80 just this morning. And then topping out at 95 at Joplin Regional. You factor in the high humidity. It felt like 107 degrees at the peak heating of the afternoon around the Joplin area. Any heat advisories, excessive heat warnings we had across the area expired for the night, but a lot of us are going to see the heat advisories go back into full force again, taking us through Monday afternoon and expiring by 8 o'clock tomorrow night. At least we're not dealing with any thunderstorm chances this time around. The overall big picture shows any big-time storm system staying to our northwest, while that big blue H upstairs, that is what's going to keep us dry. But it's not going to let us drop off very much again tonight. Most of us dropping back just to 79 degrees. And like it or not, Chris, we're back in the mid-90s again tomorrow with the humidity up there once again. And we'll see how the numbers pan for the rest of the week here in a few.
All right, Nick, thank you. Officials with the Grand River Dam Authority say they may have recovered the body of a missing man in Grand Lake. Around 8 last night, GRDA police officers received a call from boaters who said they spotted a body in the water. Officers arrived about a mile north of Pensacola Dam along Langley Bluff. Police say the clothing on the body matched the description of Troy Young of Bixby, Oklahoma, who was last seen leaving Cedar Point Marina on May 28th. Authorities say official identification will come from the Oklahoma Medical Examiner. MoDOT is seeking public input for a major upcoming project. Residents are asked to fill out an online form discussing what they feel needs to be improved along 7th Street in Joplin from Schifferdecker to Range Line. Now, some things they're looking at include pavement improvements, safety and traffic flow, and sidewalks. Now, the work is scheduled for 2024 and 2025, and MoDOT is budgeting just under $30 million for the project. You can find more information, including how to participate, on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Joplin Public Library is celebrating their 120-year anniversary today. The library is the largest library between Tulsa and Springfield. They were joined today by Senator Bill White and other state representatives while receiving dedications from both offices.
We're very lucky to have the support that we have from the community, whether that be the individual citizens in the community, whether that be the city people, whether that be community organizations around town. We have a ton of community partnerships, and without that support, without that drive for people to partner and work with us, we would not be as successful as we are today.
The library now holds over 100,000 books. Well, to end Pride Fest weekend, Pittsburg, Kansas Pride hosted an event to bring local small businesses to show off some of their items. From baked goods, crafts, to homemade jewelry, these business owners support Pittsburg Pride. Events were held all weekend to raise money for Pittsburg Pride and, of course, to have some fun as well.
It's the coolest thing to be able to see so many queer people in one space. We don't always get to do that. You sometimes have to kind of be secretive about it, especially in places like the Midwest. And so getting to just be who you are in a space that accepts you and loves you is really awesome.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about Pittsburg, Kansas Pride, you can check out this story at our website. And again, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Southeast Kansas Humane Society hosted their first annual microchip clinic. Just for $20, pet owners brought their dog or cat in to have the chip put just under their coat. A chip is the size of a grain of rice and only takes a few seconds to implant, and then you can go online and register with your information. Southeast Kansas Humane Society is at full capacity and is waiving all dog adoption fees for this week, for next weekend. All adoptable animals are up to date with shots, microchipped, as well as spayed and neutered.
So today, with this being a low cost, we're trying to get more tools to our community to get these animals, if they are lost, back to their homes.
If you are wanting to learn more about adoption or fostering, again, more information at KOAMnewsnow.com. One day after March for Our Lives rallies across the country called on Congress to pass gun reform, the Senate says they now have a tentative agreement in the works, one that both Democrats and Republicans can agree on and could actually become law. It's a major legislative hurdle that has eluded lawmakers for years. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has the details from Washington.
A bipartisan group of senators announcing an agreement Sunday on new gun control legislation as they face public pressure to act after a spate of recent mass shootings. The group of 10 Democrats and 10 Republicans releasing a statement reading in part, "Today we are announcing a common sense bipartisan proposal to protect America's children, keep our schools safe, and reduce the threat of violence across our country. Families are scared, and it is our duty to come together and get something done that will help restore their sense of safety and security in their communities." The House last week passed a package of gun control bills, but they're unlikely to become law. The new Senate framework has the support of enough Republicans to break the deadlock. While the proposal does not include stronger measures like an outright ban on assault weapons, which President Biden had pushed for, it does include increased investment in school safety and mental health programs, enhanced background checks for buyers under 21, penalties for illegal straw purchases, and more support for state crisis intervention orders, which would help keep guns out of the hands of those deemed to be a danger to themselves and the public.
We shouldn't take a victory lap yet. I'm optimistic that the pressure that we are all feeling from our constituents to act and to deliver real results will get us to the president's desk with legislation this time.
Lawmakers hope they can get a bill passed before the July 4th recess. At the White House, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
We take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Petty Officer First Class Ronald Friend Sr. served in the Navy in Vietnam during the Cuban blockade and Korea, his hometown, Neosho. We're proud to recognize Petty Officer First Class Ronald Friend Sr., tonight's four-state hero. Well, after the break, a community of friends in San Francisco created a National AIDS Memorial Quilt. We'll have more coming up. A community of friends in San Francisco created a National AIDS Memorial Quilt as a way to honor the lives lost to the illness. And more than 30 years later, the memorial quilt is still being used as a way to bring awareness to the epidemic. Fox's James Torres has the story.
Corey Meese.
Millions of lives lost to the AIDS epidemic since the 80s.
Remember the names, remember the lives, remember what this pandemic was about. We never want to forget the over 700,000 lives that have been lost here in the U.S. alone to AIDS.
To represent them, quilts are made. The movement began 35 years ago. Friends upset about reading the names of their friends dying from the disease.
Forced a lot of us into action, fearing we were being forgotten by our government and left behind to die.
Mike Smith, along with members of the National AIDS Memorial, brought the now 55 miles long quilt back to San Francisco after a 20-year stint in Atlanta.
The epidemic has moved less in the gay community and more out into the African-American community and the South. And we wanted to have the quilt continue to be relevant.
3,000 panels of the quilt are now at Robin Williams Meadow in Golden Gate Park for the weekend. Plans for this celebration were originally scheduled for early 2020, right when the COVID-19 pandemic hit.
And I'm really proud that we're going to continue to do it and to fight so that we do get to that point where not one more life is lost due to HIV/AIDS.
Rhett Stackline.
The panels will remain in the park until Sunday afternoon. While awareness now exists as well as treatment for AIDS, organizers say there is still a need for more education, a cure, and a vaccine.
So our work of promoting awareness about AIDS will continue and has to continue.
That was Fox's James Torres reporting. After the forecast in Russia, an American burger brand comes down and a new replacement goes up.
Well, I will give you credit that today looked nice to be out and about. It did not feel nice to be out and about. Case in point, the numbers from Joplin Regional just over the past 36 hours alone shows the tale of a hot and humid afternoon the other day with highs in the lower 90s. And not much of a break during the overnight hours. We only dropped back into the upper 70s at Joplin Regional this morning and then right back into the mid 90s, not just for the Joplin area, but all across the entire area. Again, if you want to look at the positives for today, after some of us had to deal with some thunderstorm chances that tried to pack a punch last night, we had no rain or thunderstorms to worry about today. The heat advisories and the excessive heat warnings we had to start the day out fell by the wayside, but safe to say everybody's going to deal with another hot and humid day tomorrow, and a good deal of us will go back under heat advisories to take us through Monday afternoon and expire by 8 o'clock Monday evening. In the meantime, 7th and Rangeline, this looked just before sunset, still looked nice, but even with the setting sun, you would think that would allow temperatures to start dropping off quite a bit. Here we were at the noon hour earlier today, most of us right around the upper 80s to near 90 degrees, lower to middle 90s easily across the area for this afternoon. And the last check of temperatures we had before the 9 o'clock hour still had us in the upper 80s. These are evenings that we should see during July, not during the middle of June. And even at that last check of temperatures, this still felt like 100 to 105 with the humidity up there too. And there is a good reason why we are warm and muggy for the rest of the night. It's not because of anything happening at the surface, at least with these thunderstorms. They're all staying to the north and west, but here is one culprit. This warm front sneaking in from the south. It'll fall apart as it works into our northern areas tomorrow. But we have this upper level ridge building in, and as long as that's in charge going into the overnight, that's the main culprit to why we're not going to drop off very much, even though we'll keep skies quiet. I can certainly give you that. Partly cloudy to mostly clear skies, bouncing back and forth between the two throughout the night. We can only drop back again into the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. Mostly sunny skies. We're trying to gravitate toward that tomorrow, but that will just make sure that with the good southwest breeze at 10 to 20, gusts near 25 at times, it'll take us from 79 in the morning, 90 by noon, and highs near 95. Well, let's do it again for Monday night. A warm night with mid to upper 70s for lows, and then right back into the lower to almost mid 90s for Tuesday afternoon. Now the humidity, it's safe to say it's going to be back up there again for tomorrow. So during the peak heating of the day, it's going to feel like anywhere between 102 to potentially 108, 109 degrees. And hopefully we can drop the humidity back a little bit as we go into Tuesday. Even with that being the case, the numbers are going to be a little hotter than the thermometer will show during the day. Mid to upper 90s. That's what's on tap for us in terms of what it'll feel like on Tuesday with the official high of 93. 91 on Wednesday, keeping things quiet. A little weakness in this ridge, Chris, could allow for an isolated storm or two Thursday or Friday, but hopefully with the change in the upper levels by the coming weekend, we can back off on the heat and the humidity a little bit, hopefully getting us back into the upper 80s for highs.
That's still, I mean, summer certainly has arrived. Mother Nature went from, oh, it's no longer monsoon season. Sorry, here's your summer. So
yeah, instead of all that moisture resulting in the monsoon, we're just steaming.
Yeah, a lot of steaming. Nick, thank you so much. Still ahead, messaging app Telegram, they're adding another layer of service for pay. Welcome back. This is our tower, and we're showing it to you because we are still working on the KOAM More Power project. So there's some changes coming, though. If your signal from KOAM or Fox 14 gets a little glitchy in the next week, it's a sign of progress. We're going to be broadcasting from a lower power temporary antenna while a crew installs a much more powerful, much more advanced antenna at the top of that tower. It's the final step in this project, and this will allow viewers, maybe some of you haven't been able to get us, you'll be able to get us when this is done. And if all goes to plan, it'll be done by the end of June. In Russia, an American burger brand is coming down and a new replacement going up with its own Russian catchy saying. The golden arches of McDonald's are coming down across Russia as a new business goes up. McDonald's sells to new Russian ownership more than 30 years after arriving. The new burger company food looks and is basically made the same way. Its logo will have 2 fries and a hamburger patty against a green background. New burger joint will now be called, hold on, this is in Russian, Vkuzno and tochka, which translated means tasty and that's it. Seems pretty straightforward. New owner Alexander Govor wants to open 1,000 restaurants within 2 months. Messaging app Telegram is going to add another layer of service for pay. Now, the currently free message app system wants to add a premium pay feature with additional options to the service. The premium service would have more storage and availability, allowing users to view extra large documents, media, and stickers sent by premium users. The premium feature will launch this month. The official per-month price isn't yet known. Company officials say these changes won't affect existing features for non-premium users. An investigation of Tesla's autopilot features heads toward a conclusion. The National Highway Transportation Safety Administration officials are moving into an engineering analysis phase for 830,000 Teslas with autopilot functions. That analysis is the last investigation stage before a potential recall. NHTSA regulators are determining if the autopilot changes human behavior safety risks. The agency examined 191 crashes involving autopilot use, with about half happening when drivers didn't intervene when needed or intervening without effective control inputs. Swedish car maker Volvo adds some of its electric cars to the Hertz rental car fleet. Hertz is adding 65,000 Polestar electric vehicles to its lineup. Polestar 2 vehicles have a 270-mile range per electric charge. The Polestar brand launched in 2020 and sold 29,000 vehicles globally in 2021. Hertz hasn't announced what the rental rates will be yet. The company will also add the Polestar 3 SUV later after the model debuts this year. We're going to wrap up this half hour of the news at 9 with a giant shopper at a Florida Dollar General store. An unusual visitor walked into a Family Dollar, leaving the staff beyond surprised. A 135-pound dog named Bentley wandered into a Dollar General store Friday in Bradenton, Florida. The large canine stayed for several hours, but Dollar General workers had to call the police at closing time when Bentley didn't want to leave the location. Bradenton officers shared the video on Facebook that shows how they tried to coax him into a leash that didn't quite fit. Fortunately, police found his owner, who was able to take Bentley back home with him. So that's a very large dog, a very unusual shopper, and I understand they can be a little bit picky. They're not just going to leave right away. We have got 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way when the KOAM News at 9 returns. Right now at 9:30, a Georgia girl at the center of an Amber Alert and her mother are dead. The latest from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Plus, French voters are choosing lawmakers in a parliamentary election. Also, Iran's currency taking a major blow as it drops to its lowest value ever. And a federal judge in Texas has issued a major ruling that nullifies a key policy involving agents with immigration and customs enforcement. The KOAM News at 9 continues right now. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm Chris Warner. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation said a 1-year-old girl from Covington who was at the center of an Amber Alert and the suspect accused of abducting her are both dead. Jakari Bennett was believed to have been abducted by Darian Jarvis Bennett, the child's father. According to police, 38-year-old Bennett shot and killed the 1-year-old's mother and wounded the child's grandmother before taking the child and hiding out at a church where he shot the child before he shot himself. GBI confirmed the toddler's death by taking to social media on Sunday, saying, quote, "Baby Jakari has died. The Newton County Sheriff's Office is handling the investigation." Voters in France are going to the polls in a parliamentary election as President Emmanuel Macron tries to secure his majority. A growing threat from leftist coalition may prevent that. More than 6,000 candidates are running for 577 seats in the National Assembly in the first round of voting on Sunday. Those who receive the most votes will advance to the decisive second round next Sunday. Macron won re-election last month. The main opposition force appears to be a newly created coalition made up of leftists, Greens, and communists. Iran's currency has dropped to its lowest value ever. The plunge came today as talks to revive the country's tattered nuclear deal with world powers remains deadlocked. The Iranian currency is known as the rial, and its new low comes as U.S. sanctions against the country are still in force. Iran's economy has been struggling, mostly because of the U.S. pullout from the 2015 nuclear deal between Iran and world powers. That restored sanctions on Iran's oil and banking sectors. Talks in Vienna to renew the agreement have been deadlocked for months. A federal judge in Texas has issued a major ruling that nullifies a key policy involving agents with immigration and customs enforcement. The policy had put limits on the people the agents were allowed to arrest and deport. The Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, announced the policy last year. It directed ICE agents to target only people who posed a threat to national security and public safety, as well as, quote, recent border crossers. That was a complete turnaround from how things were during the Trump administration, when ICE had much more leeway in deciding whom to deport. Texas and Louisiana sued to have the policy overturned, and late Friday, the judge sided with the two states. The ruling is a setback for the Biden administration. It's been hot. From what I understand, it might stay that way. Nick Kelly joining us.
Yeah, even those that caught a few thunderstorms from the other night, Chris, that did not scrub out the heat and humidity at all. We all pushed back into the mid-90s at least this afternoon. And even though the heat advisories and heat warnings for today have fallen by the wayside, a lot of us will see them back in action for tomorrow, not expiring until we hit about 8 o'clock on your Monday evening. The big picture, though, shows we don't have any threatening weather to worry about, at least in the form of thunderstorms. That is being hogged with an upper-level wave passing well to the north and west. That's not bothering us this time because that upper-level ridge is stronger and continues to build in and lock its grip in for the overnight and tomorrow. That means we're going to have another warm and muggy start to the morning with upper 70s for overnight lows, 84 by 9, 90 by noon. We're all back in the mid-90s again for tomorrow, Chris. And we'll see if these numbers can hold steady through the week ahead here in a few.
All right, Nick, thank you. Well, can some foods known to be good for heart health also raise the risk for a type of cancer? A new study says yes. Analysts from Brown University found that eating a lot of fish increased the risk for cancer. The researchers tracked more than 490,000 people for 15 years and found that people who ate an average of 14 grams of tuna each day had a 20% higher risk of malicious melanomas, which are the most dangerous type of skin cancer. Scientists say they don't know if contaminants in fish could have aided in risk factors. Police arrest 31 white supremacists in northwest Idaho for allegedly planning to disrupt a gay pride parade Saturday. Officials in Coeur d'Alene say the suspects were part of the Patriot Front and have been charged with conspiracy to riot. Fox News correspondent Christina Coleman has the latest.
Police said the 31 individuals arrested in this group were from at least 11 states, including Colorado, Texas, South Dakota, Utah, and Virginia. Officers say a concerned citizen called police after they saw the group loading into a U-Haul truck, alerting officers to the situation. The men were detained around 1:30 yesterday afternoon in Coeur d'Alene. That's a resort town in northern Idaho, just about 30 miles east of Spokane, Washington. Numerous county detectives, sheriff's deputies, and state troopers were on scene during the arrest. The local police chief said they wanted to make sure that they had adequate resources after receiving a call that there were at least 20 people in a U-Haul truck.
We received a telephone call from a concerned citizen who reported that approximately 20 people jumped into a U-Haul wearing masks. They had shields and, quote, looked like a little army. Units began to go into the area, and we made a traffic stop almost exactly 10 minutes later. At that point, 31 people were detained. They were all wearing similar attire. They had shields, shin guards.
Police say some of the men were wearing patches and logos that identified them as members of Patriot Front, a white nationalist group. Police say there was evidence to support that the group planned to riot in multiple locations. The men were arrested near a pride parade Saturday afternoon. They were each charged with conspiracy to riot, a misdemeanor.
It is clear to us, based on the gear that the individuals had all with them, the stuff they had in the possession and the U-Haul with them, along with paperwork that was seized from them, that they came to riot downtown. There was at least one smoke grenade. There was multiple shields. They were all wearing hats that had plastic inside them, shin guards, shields, things of that nature.
Also, the FBI is assisting local law enforcement with this investigation. Reporting in Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
Horrific scenes coming out of eastern Ukraine where Russian forces have been shelling civilian targets nonstop. Meantime, the president of European Union paying a visit to Kyiv and says they will soon announce their position on Ukraine's potential membership. Fox News correspondent Mike Tobin has the latest from Kyiv.
To use President Zelensky's own words, he has been on a big diplomatic marathon. Usually we see Zelensky visiting other countries via video conference, trying to shore up support for Ukraine in the form of weapons to be used in the fight against Russia. What he has been doing lately is shoring up support for membership into the European Union. He did that yesterday, meeting with Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, as she made her way to Kiev. Zelensky will learn by June 24th if Ukraine has been approved as a candidate for EU membership.
I am sure that we will soon receive an answer on the candidate status for Ukraine. I am convinced that not only can this decision strengthen our state, but the entire European Union as well.
In his nightly address, Zelensky pointed out that Russia said in May it would quickly claim the eastern region called the Donbass. Fighting has been most severe in the eastern town Severodonetsk. Russia and Ukraine trade control of streets and blocks. As this has evolved into an artillery war, the town has been blown to bits. Zelensky called Severodonetsk a dead city. But if Ukraine abandons it, Russia gains control of an entire eastern province. Ukraine has launched counteroffensives in the south with small progress. After a long, bloody siege, Russia gained control of the city of Mariupol on the coast of the Sea of Azov. There is a square in that city that up until today was called Freedom Square. Russia has renamed it Lenin Square and hoisted the Russian flag above it. In Kiev, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
Coming up, the heat is on, and that means we've got to take extra precautions, not just for us, but for our four-legged friends as well. A lot of people are keeping their dogs indoors during the hottest parts of the day, but for some, the only times they can really exercise their dogs are during those peak hours. Fox's Gabby Hart has more on how people are making sure their furry friends get exercise without overheating and other heat-related injuries.
As you can see, there's not a lot of people out here because it's super hot.
On Saturday afternoon, Congressman Bill Archer Dog Park was unusually quiet. Many dog owners opting not to bring their pets outside in the nearly 100-degree weather. But we found some dog owners who say during the day was the only time they could get their furry friends out for some much-needed exercise.
We usually don't take them out this early. We usually try to wait until sunset, walking them on the grass. But because we had to take them out earlier today, we specifically took them a little bit further out to have them play in a pool.
Exercising your dog in high temperatures isn't without risk, so it's important to keep an extra close eye on them.
Just like with kids, make sure you're watching them. So when she starts to pant too much, she's obviously not interested in playing. We shower, we go home.
Heat stroke's a real thing, and veterinary hospitals are already pretty booked up.
Hannah Rootman works at a Houston area animal hospital. She brought her dog out for some fun and socialization, but she also knows the warning signs to look out for and when her pup has had enough.
You know your dog best, so if they're acting out of the norm, lethargic, showing signs of just not wanting to do much, get them inside. If they are having symptoms of heat stroke, do not spray cold water all over your dog. That's a really great way to put them into shock. So just get them into, cooler AC and just make sure they're hydrated.
Now, experts say for dogs who spend a lot of time outdoors, remember to make sure they have plenty of shade and plenty of cold water. If you think your dog is overheating, don't wait. You should contact a veterinarian right away. And that was Fox's Gabby Hart reporting. Later on the news at 9, it's the best time to celebrate those little ones in your family.
Even though we kept things pretty quiet throughout the day, it was just downright hot and humid with highs easily back in the mid-90s after we only started out in the upper 70s to near 80 this morning. Unlike last night, though, where we had to keep an eye on some thunderstorm chances skirting around parts of our area, we are completely dry as we continue throughout the course of the night. Now, earlier today, we did have some heat advisories and excessive heat warnings, especially in northeastern parts of Oklahoma once you worked away from Miami and Ottawa County in northeast Oklahoma. Those have fallen by the wayside, but with the way things are looking tomorrow, everybody's going to have to deal with another hot and humid Monday, and most of us will see these heat advisories go back into action until we get to 8 o'clock on your Monday evening. Again, from 7th to Rangeline, the view before sunset, again, not going to blame you. It certainly looks nice to be outside throughout the day and even to get this evening underway, but at noon we were already at 90 degrees. This is a type of day that we shouldn't see until we hit late this month or certainly going into July as summer really kicks into gear. Then we just continue to climb on up. Most of us in the mid-90s, as hot as 95 degrees. Heat indices at their highest were pushing 107 to almost 110 in some locations. And even before the top of the 9 o'clock hour, we're still in the upper 80s. We are not set to drop off very much, and to add insult to injury, at the top of the 9 o'clock hour, it still felt like the triple digits outside because it's still very warm out there and still muggy. On the other hand, though, with the way the setup is looking at the surface, a warm front lifting through, that means this cluster of storms out in western parts of Kansas, that's not going to steer them toward us. And certainly the upper levels are going to steer those storms north of the region if they can hold together throughout the overnight. But that upper ridge is firmly in control for the next few days, and that does include the overnight hours and going into Monday. That keeps us bouncing back and forth between partly cloudy to mostly clear skies, but that upper level ridge means we're downright warm and muggy again for your Monday morning with lows back, most of us around 79 degrees, and we will waste no time heating back up without much muss or fuss, even with a southwest breeze during the day at 10 to 20 and gusts near 25. That'll take us from 79 in the morning, 90 by noon, highs near 95 degrees, and we're not even including the humidity with dew points back in the 70s once again. It's going to feel like during the peak heating of the day between 102 and potentially up to 109 in some spots. We're in the 90s again as we go into Tuesday, but with a bit of a bump down in the humidity. Hopefully it will make it feel as muggy as it's been for the past few days, but still it could feel like the mid to upper 90s for Tuesday. Looking beyond the next few days though, this upper level ridge is still in control. That's going to keep us in the 90s and dry for Tuesday and even Wednesday. But a shift in this ridge could allow for a quick disturbance to give us maybe a thunderstorm or two for Thursday and Friday. But overall, a weakness in the ridge by the weekend, even though it lifts to the north, could allow for a little bit of a break in the heat. Fingers crossed we can hold on to these upper 80s for highs for Saturday and Sunday, Chris. But in the meantime, hot and humid days line up for most of this week and some warm and muggy nights too.
You know, the thing is, I kind of like those warm and muggy nights. You know, it just kind of feels nice.
I know there are some out there that like this weather, and they can certainly enjoy it if this is their cup of tea.
I enjoy it to a certain degree.
Yeah, it's just like too much of a good thing is bad. Even this can be too much of a good thing if it goes on for too long.
Absolutely. Nick, thank you so much. Coming up in sports, Pittsburgh Post 64 hits the field for a consolation game. Plus, Oklahoma aims to upset 4th-ranked Virginia Tech in a decisive Game 3. Danny Terzer, not Game Terzer, but Danny Terzer has the highlights next.
Pittsburgh Post 64 returns to action today for a consolation game in this weekend's regional showcase. The Patriots went 1-1-1 in pool play. Today, Post 64 meets Carl Junction for their final game of the weekend. The Patriots ended on a high note, beating the Bulldogs 8-2. Caden Harrison pitches 5 innings and strikes out 5 batters. Peyton Morrow puts together a nice day at the plate, a double, a triple, and 3 RBI. Oklahoma is 1 win away from their first trip to the College World Series since 2010. The unranked Sooners must beat 4th-ranked Virginia Tech one more time to punch their ticket to Omaha. It's a decisive Game 3 here in the Blacksburg Super Regional. Sooners Wastes no time, Tanner Treadaway crushes a first inning bomb to left. Oklahoma has an early 2-0 lead off of 2 homers. In the 4th, Treadaway blasts his second home run of the day. He goes 4 for 5 with 2 homers and 2 doubles. It's 5-2. Bottom half, Jack Hurley hits it high and deep into foul territory, but Kendall Pitts makes a ridiculous catch for the out. He holds onto it as he's flipping over the wall. Check it out one more time. And then he delivers at the plate. This is a solo shot. Oklahoma runs away with it. The Sooners win 11-2. Game 2 of the Chapel Hill Regional between the Tar Heels and Razorbacks. Jalen Battles starts the scoring in the 4th, rips a double down the line. Chris Lanzilli scores from first. Next inning, Arkansas extends the lead. Braden Webb homers to right center. It's 2-0. This one is a battle though. Bottom 9, tie game, 2 on. Slavens walks it off, singles in the gap. Arkansas celebrates the sweep. They're headed to the College World Series. 4-3 the final. Cards go for the series sweep today against the Reds. 3rd inning, Nolan Arenado hits a 2-run homer to left just over the wall. Number 11 on the year, makes it 3-0 St. Louis. Next inning, Reds tie it up. TJ Friedel lines a single to right, run scores, 3-3. Later, Albert Pujols makes the score even once again. To the warning track, hops over for a ground rule double, RBI double. And back and forth, Tommy Pham goes deep. Cards try to walk it off for the 2nd straight night. They score 2 in the bottom of the 9th, but come up short. St. Louis falls 7-6. The Royals close out a 4-game set with the Orioles today. Kansas City shows some fight, but Baltimore is able to hang on to win 10-7 and split the series. Hunter Dozier goes 4 for 5 today with 2 RBI and 2 runs scored. That's it for sports. We're back after this.
Well, it's the best time to celebrate those little ones in your family on National Children's Day. The day began in 1856 by a Massachusetts minister as a special day to baptize children. It's been honored in both October and now June. Slow down, ditch the tech, explore the outdoors, and start some new traditions with your children today. Be creative in arts with them. Snap the special moment on social media and remind others with the hashtag National Children's Day on social media. Now, I, of course, have got 3 little ones, and I can tell you it is National Children's Day every day at home because
pretty much,
even though they can be little pains on occasion, I still wouldn't trade them for anything. They're great kids. So we have a not so great forecast for getting out too much this week.
It might be good for the kiddos to get to the pool or head to the movie theaters where there's AC aplenty, but it is just going to be downright hot and humid for the next few days. Highs back near 95 tomorrow. The humidity's back up there as well. Easily triple digits, maybe as high as 108, 109 degrees. Backing down the humidity a little bit for Tuesday, but still hot with highs near 93. Then we'll try to sneak back into the lower 90s by the middle of the week, Chris. Maybe a random storm or 2 Thursday or Friday, and fingers crossed we can hold on to projected highs in the upper 80s by next weekend.
Yeah, those 80s are going to feel pretty nice when we get around to the weekend, if we can hold on to that.
Yeah, and hopefully lower humidity for sure by then, too. That's going to feel really nice.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's the thing. I like the warm weather, just not the humidity that comes along with it.
Yeah, humidity and I never get along.
No, not at all. Nick, thank you so much. That is our time for now. Thank you so much for joining us. We got the morning show on Fox, kicks off at 7 a.m. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9. Thanks for making us part of your night.